Hello, I'm Daniel. I host the Kansas City Meditation Podcast. I am a Dharma teacher and meditation instructor in Kansas City. These teachings will always be given free of charge. That being said, if you feel compelled to make a donation to support these teachings, you can click the link in the show notes and also go visit kansascitymeditation.com. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Hello, I'm Daniel. The title of this talk is As Good as It Gets. As good as it gets. And that's the question I want us to ask ourselves is this as good as it gets? Is this our life experience right now as good as it will ever be? Which is, in the film, As Good as It Gets, that's the question Jack Nicholson asks a bunch of people waiting in line to see a therapist that he sees. He says, what if this is as good as it gets? Because he's very unhappy, and presumably these other people are too. And that's where the film gets its title. And I really like that movie. But I wonder, is it bad to think that way? That this is how it is. This is as good as it's going to be. Here's the thing, is we spend a lot of time waiting for things to line up. Waiting for things to line up so that we can finally be happy. You know, once I have that promotion, once I make $50,000 a year, once I have the right partner, once we're married, then I can be happy. Then my life can start, right? We tend to think that way. Or once I have, a really good car, once I have a house, whatever. But what if things are lined up already? Can we shift our mindset and stop waiting all the time? Some things in our lives, for all of us, are better than they used to be, and other things are worse. That is true for all of us in our entire lives. And we spend too much time focused on either the past or the future, sometimes both. And the message of mindfulness is that there is power in focusing on the here and now. The truth is that this moment is all we have. We might resist that and think, but this moment isn't good enough. But this moment is all there is. So it has to be good enough. Good enough compared to what? What are we comparing it to? We're comparing it to an ideal in our heads that would probably not measure up to what our expectation if we actually lived it. Being here means we don't tell ourselves in the future things will be better. This doesn't mean we shouldn't have ambition. This doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to build a better life. We should. Of course we should. What this means is we shouldn't be obsessed with the future. We have to be aware of the here and now. We have to be able to be here. And we can think in terms of the past too. We can think of how miserable we are because we lost something we used to have. But the truth is we lose everything. Everything comes and goes. That's the way life is. And so dwelling on the past doesn't really serve us that well either. Not to say we shouldn't learn something, because we should. We should learn something from the past, but we should not live there. Because the here and now is all there really is. And we're wasting our lives and our attention by not being here. We can make now the focus of our lives and learn how to be here. We're so caught up thinking about what has happened or anticipating the future. We love being somewhere else, but it's often not good for us. It makes us so lost and confused. This moment is all there is, and everything else is a story we're telling ourselves. We're telling stories about the past, and often they aren't accurate, and we're projecting stories onto the future, and they're even less accurate. I submit, this is as good as it gets, because this is all that's real, this right now. What does that mean? It means happiness, contentment, inner peace. These are things that come from inside us. They aren't as tied to our circumstances as we think. Sure, it's easy to be unhappy if we don't have enough food to eat. I'm not talking about that. Fundamental needs are important and they need to be met. I'm talking about contentment after our needs are met, after we have everything we need, and then we still kind of struggle with not having more, with thinking we're not getting enough out of life. What stops our happiness the most is thinking about reasons why we shouldn't be happy. I should have this. I shouldn't have that. I don't deserve to be happy. The delusion that with enough money we'll be happy, or the bigger delusion that money equals happiness. So if I think, if more people come to meditation, I'll be happier, but I won't. I'll think about what else I need. When we think there's an end to our goals, we are wrong. Being in the present moment doesn't mean we don't learn from the past or plan for the future. It just means we don't live there. It means we don't let anxiety about the past and future steal our joy now. I sometimes think, oh, life will be better when I'm not so busy. I don't think that's true, though. I think it'll just be different. When I'm done raising 4 kids, I'm certain that I will miss raising 4 kids. To think things will be better when these kids are grown up would be to be resisting raising these kids. I don't need to resist that. And if you think the present is horrible and some future time will be better, you're missing the experience of being present. We can be present and have a richer and deeper experience even in the parts of our life that we don't like. That is being really alive. And if we can be here and not judge this moment as good or bad, that is really powerful. The only way we really have a future that's better than the present is if we learn how to really appreciate what goes on in that future. So really, by being fully engaged now, we train ourselves to be more fully engaged later. So if our life is better in the future, we'll be able to really enjoy it. We train for that by learning to be mindful and present now. Can we reconcile that with having goals? Yes, we can set goals and plan for the future without having a mindset that takes away from right now. Plan for the future, but don't get so lost and caught up thinking any future moment will be better than this one. We should not think that this moment is unworthy, because if we have that mindset, there will always be a better moment, no matter what we're doing. We'll never be present. We can set goals and make changes from a mindset of joy. This moment is a good place to be. We can still achieve goals, we can still get things, but we don't have to do that to be happy. Our feelings come from ourselves. If we don't think we're successful enough, or our relationship is good enough, or the kids don't listen well enough, or whatever, these things don't have the power to steal our joy unless we let them. We tell ourselves stories about how happy we'll be when this happens, and we're wrong way too often. Work toward goals, but don't forget to be present while you're doing it. Happiness is almost always about adjusting our attitude. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this talk. Have a good day. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.